Alright, don't put away your crochet hook and needle just yet. We're going to need them. To begin, we need our pipe cleaner, and the eye stalk and gun arm are the same length, and then the suction cup arm is a little longer, and then the two top lights are very short. So you need to cut the one piece that is 3 inches, or 8 centimeters, I think, about right. Is that right? Just shy of 8 centimeters, so 8 centimeters is good. I'm going to take this, you can cut these with scissors, but I don't suggest it. I suggest some wire cutters of some sort. Just like that. Okay. I'm using white. You can use any color you want. Just keep in mind that these top lights are white, so you may want to use white anyway, so you're not wasting pipe cleaners. Or chenille stems, I don't know what you want to call them. So there's one 3-inch piece, and that is for the arm with the suction cup. And then you need two 2-inch pieces. I'm sorry, I've got centimeters on the brain, which is 5 centimeters. So you need 2 of them that are about that long. And these measurements don't have to be perfect. So there's 1. Close enough in this case is actually good enough. And 2. And that's for the gun arm and the eye stalk. And then these pieces are really, really tiny. I actually cut them 1 inch long, or 2.5 centimeters long. And just because it's a little easier to manipulate when they're just a little longer, and then cut them down once I have them in place. So there's the first one, and the second one. And then you'll have a little bit left over. You can actually hold on to that, because that piece is 2.5, somewhere around 2.5, or what is that, 6.5 centimeters, 7 centimeters long. You can actually hold on to that because they'll be long enough. It'll be long enough to do an eye stalk or another gun arm. Okay. So now I need to put all these pieces into place. So find the center. There's our lumpless, almost lumpless finish there. Go to the opposite corner, right there. And I like to put a stitch marker right here. It actually isn't going to be, it's not going to have anything in it when we're done. We're going to remove this marker, but it is a good way to mark the center and have a reference point. Okay, so from the center I need to use the longest one, and I'm going to go, this is a front post single crochet that I'm on. Then there's a regular single crochet, another front post, and another single crochet. So along that middle row, so you got 1, 2, 3, go along there and go to that second, 1, 2, second single crochet in the middle, and go around its post with your hook. I like to kind of yank it out like that with my hook, You don't have to if you think you can get it without pulling it out, go for it. I have to yank on it to get it out. Then just bring the two ends together and pinch to crease the wire. Okay, so now you have this, and then just twist them together. It doesn't have to be twisted too much because we're about to wrap it with yarn, but you just want it enough that it's not going to pull out. Okay, then go to the same spot but on the opposite side of our reference. So 1, 2, right here on the shoulder area, by the way. Yank that out and put one of the 2-inch chenille stems, pipe cleaner pieces. Okay, you're going to do the same thing. And the honest truth is that looks a little sharp. Alright, so now you need to cut the eye stalk and the eye stalk piece and the gun arm, and those are 2.5-inch pieces. So cut 2 of those. So there's 1 and 2. Okay, and then I already cut them because I had a piece sitting around, but the lights on the top of the head, I cut those to 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters long, approximately. They're actually going to be too big when I fold them in half. Okay, sorry, I got carried away there. I went ahead and added that. When you fold them in half and twist them, you're actually going to end up cutting them down a little bit. Okay, but it's easier to manipulate when they're a little longer. So I added the suction arm there. Here's my middle. I'm on a front post single crochet. I went 1, 2, 3 single crochets, or there's a front post and a single in the middle of this section right here, and added that arm. So let me show you how I added that arm. I'm going to go to the same spot on this side of the reference point. So here's a single crochet, a front post single crochet, and another regular crochet, single crochet, and that's where I want to stick my hook in and just sort of bring it out a little bit. You might be able to do that, or to insert these without bringing it out like that, but I can't. I have to yank on that. So insert your chenille stem, bring the 2 ends together, pinch it, and then just twist the 2 pieces together, or the 2 ends, like that. Doesn't have to be very much, just enough to hold it together so it won't pull back out. And there are the arms. Okay. And now I want to put the eye stalk directly underneath my reference point, so somewhere in here, and I want it, if you look, 1, 2, 3 rows. Okay, 1, 2, 3 rows, right about here. not too high. That looks funny. And I'm just gonna kind of do that wiggle, pull it out. Then I can insert my pipe cleaner like that. Pull the two ends together, give it a pinch, and just sort of twist them together. Okay. And I'm guessing I got a tail end right there because I've got black that's pulling out there. There we go. And now we can add the top lights on around 1, 2, 3. Okay. So here's the center line. We want to go directly off of that on either side. Round 1, 2, and 3. So somewhere here. Between rounds 2. Nope, I'm sorry. Not between 2 and 3. Between 3 and 4. Sorry. So 1, 2, 3. Right about here. Yep, I'm catching that thread, or that yarn tail that was under there. I don't want to pull it out. Alright, maybe I do. I'm fighting with it, so let's stop fighting. There we go. And now I can do what I was trying to do in the first place. Now these can be wrapped as well with white, but I found that it was so little that it really wasn't necessary, or wasn't easy. So I leave mine exposed. Oops. Boy, I am finding all those threads, aren't I? Or yarn tails, aren't I? There we go. There we go. And like I said, these are just a little too long. I know some of the Daleks have longer ones. Oops, I put that in the wrong place. Should definitely double check before you crank it down like I just did. There we go. Now I can go ahead and take my wire cutters, which of course are covered in fuzzies, and just snip off the very end like that of each of these, and that will leave a nice clean, slightly rounded, more rounded shape. So there's my top lights, or some people are calling them ears, I don't know, on my Dalek. Now I can take my reference point out. I'm done adding my pipe cleaners. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and do the wraps. Alright, we're ready to do the wrapping, but first I want to cover the very ends of the arms and the eye stalk in the correct color. So if you look on here, the eye here is blue, and then the inside of the sucker arm is black, and strictly speaking you probably don't need to, but you can cover the tip of this laser arm, the gun arm as well. That's up to you. I don't feel that it's necessary, but you definitely can if you want to. So to do the eye, I've got some blue here, and I'm just going to cut a couple of pieces longer than I need. Okay, and I have some fabric glue here, and all I'm going to do is put some glue at the end and then just around like that. Okay, and then I'll take one of my pieces and just wrap it around like that and then hold it. Okay, you can use something to pinch it with if you want. And I'm just kind of smoothing it down and then adding the other one in the opposite direction. And now I'm just going to hold it for a minute or so until it tacks up enough that I can let it go without it bouncing back, and then I can start the wraps on this one. In the meantime, I will be doing the same to this one, but only with the black yarn. Okay, so I'll be back when I have that finished. Alright, well these are setting up. We can go ahead and work on the gun arm. And I've got this gray, and it does have the sparkle in it. Being that this Dalek is a lovely shade of purple, which isn't showing on camera too well. It's coming across a different color than this purple that it really is. But that's okay. The sparkles I think go really well. So you're going to cut yourself off quite a long piece, because not only are you going to do the wraps with this, you're also going to do the little, I don't know what to call those, it looks like an egg beater to me. So you're going to do the egg beater part as well. So what you want to do is just start, I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue just here at the top. This is why I didn't feel like it needed to have the X done like I did with these two, because I knew I was just going to wrap it anyway. I'm going to hold it there for just a moment and kind of spread the glue with my finger all around it. I'm going to come down just a little ways and just wrap, beginning wrap, just like that. Okay. Oh, here, let me scooch in a little bit. Okay, so what I did is just go around and pull it. And now I can hold that spot with my fingertip and go back up to the very top and start wrapping properly. Okay, just making sure I cover all of the white pipe cleaner, Chanel stem, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Just keep wrapping. And somewhere about here, I'm actually going to take the other end and just sort of lay it on top like this, poking out just a little bit, and then wrap over it. In my Cyberman video, I showed you how to use a needle to come back up and make it or finish it off with a needle instead. But to be honest with you, this is much easier. You're not fighting with the needle, not fighting with the fact that this is wrapped too tightly or anything like that. So just keep wrapping until you get all the way to the base, like that. And I like to wrap the base just an extra time or two at the very end, just so that it's a little tight there, so that this won't move too much. And now I'm just going to take the end that's loose and pull it. Okay, so here is where we ended. Here's where the other end of the tail had been laying, and now just by doing that, we now have it in there. This isn't going to come off. We've glued the top, and now the bottom is also secure, or perhaps I should say we glued the beginning and then wrapped over it, and then now we've taken and put our wraps over top of our end, and it's all secure on this end, so this isn't going to come undone on us, so that's good. So now we are going to fight with our needle. For the other two, the eye stalk and the arm, you won't have to do this. Now, if I had been smart, I would have actually taken this all the way up to the top and left it hanging loose out the top. But the only problem I thought I saw was that this is still wet up here. The glue is still wet, and I was a little bit afraid that if I did that, it would get stuck and I wouldn't be able to pull it. Okay, so that's the only reason I didn't. Feel free to. So I've just inserted my needle where my tail is coming out, and I'm going all the way up to the top, just like that. And this is a very good spot for you to have your pliers handy. You're going to want them at this point. Okay, so now I've got it like this, and what I want to do is go from the top back down to the bottom, not halfway and not exactly a third of the way, but somewhere in between. Okay, again, this doesn't have to be precise. That's about half. I want to go a little bit above half, but not quite to a quarter, or maybe a third is about right. I don't know. Put your needle in there and push it all the way to the top. Okay, and here's where having pliers will come in handy. and then just pull it. And you have this nice loop. Pull it, but not all the way. You don't want to pull it all the way down because that's what it'll look like. You need to leave it a little loose, okay? Like that. Now take your needle back to the same, about the same wrap here, but come a quarter of the way around. So if this is the bottom, we want to come in from this one side, okay? And again, push your needle up, and it's going to get very tight very quickly. I'm actually already struggling with this. Go ahead and wiggle it back and forth. Pull up your loop just like that, and this loop probably will get distorted. That's okay, no worries. Everything can be fixed once again. Okay. And then go ahead and pull that down till it's approximately the same size. And you can tug this around, and we'll adjust this so that the loops are in the right spot when we're finished. So now you want to come to what is basically the top. Okay, so we've done this bottom, we've done this one, now we want to do the top. Okay, so same general area as that one, 1/4 of the turn, so right about there. Again, like I said before, this is all adjustable and pretty much until you're finished with the project. Once the glue sets, that's pretty much it, okay? Go ahead and wiggle it. Like I said, this is going to get tight really quick. And the glue being in there isn't helping. And pull it down. Just like that. Alright, now you can come and do the last section. And make any adjustments at this point. And we, of course, can finish off our last adjustments when we're finished, before the glue sets up. If you're using a sharp needle like I am, be careful. Although I find that most projects are incomplete if I have not sacrificed a little blood to the craft god. There is such a thing, right? Perhaps it's a goddess, I don't know. Always seems to happen to me. End up sacrificing just a little bit of blood here and there. There we go. Pull it down, go back and spread all the loops out just like that. Okay, then I'm going to actually pull that down just a little bit, trim it, and then pull it back out. That way the very end is actually tucked inside the project. Just like that. There we go. And there is the gun arm. Once the glue sets up, that's not going to go anywhere. There it is. Alright, we'll be back to do the next one. Alright, let's go ahead and, oops, that one's decided to flop around. Since it's flopping around anyway, I guess it wants to be wrapped next. Let's go ahead and do the eye stalk. Like we did with the gun arm, we're going to wrap it first by taking it, you just want to make sure that these are down. My glue is having some issues, I guess. Must be too humid for it. I'm going to lay the end and come up and just start wrapping. Now, in this case, you want that blue to be showing on the very tip of the eye stalk. And I'm just going to wrap down like that. And then I'm going to take this end here and lay it just along the side there. See how it's coming out? And wrap over it. Just like this. And my little covers there are a little too long, so I'm gonna snip them at this point. That way the ends are actually tucked in underneath the wraps. Okay, like that. And once again, I'm going to wrap maybe twice around, just like that. And now I can pull my loose yarn to cinch this up, just like that. Okay. Let's give it a pull. And then come in with your scissors and trim it off. And that's how you wrap that one, and you'll wrap the same. You'll do the same for the gun, or the sucker arm. Okay? I'll be back when I have that finished. Alright. I've got both arms, or the arm and the eye stalk wrapped. Okay, and now I need to make the actual sucker, the wrap for the eye piece, and then whatever this is called. I should really look that up. Okay, to do that, let's start with the sucker. This one is, actually they're all very straightforward, very easy to do. I'm going to start with a magic circle. Yes, pull out your crochet hook yet again. Okay, I want to leave a sizable tail, okay, because I'm going to be using that to I'm going to be using bold tails to attach this onto the arm. Okay, so leave a sizable tail, pinch, wrap around, insert the hook underneath the first one, and pull out, spin around. There we go. And if you're worried about all these thread tails that you're throwing away, save them. I know there's some people who do. Save them and use them to stuff a Dalek. Okay. Now I'm going to actually just do 6 single crochets into the magic circle. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. That's 1. Do it 5 more times. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. And now go ahead and pull up this tail, but don't pull it all the way. We actually need that hole that it's going to form. Alright, we actually need that loose. We'll pull it up tight when we get it in position. Go back and find the first, the top of the first single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There it is. Slip stitch to join. I like to pull each side of that V out on its own. There we go. Pull up yarn. Once you insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, maybe. Okay. And then pull the second loop through the first loop. And yarn over and fasten off. And again, leave a bit of a tail. Okay. And just go ahead and pull that out. And now I'm going to do my lumpless finish, but I want to double check, make sure that I've left the hole big enough to slip that over, and that fits just fine. Okay, no problem. So where it is right now is where I want it to stay, so I'm actually going to attach my needle here to the initial tail that we had, and just make a small knot so that I can't pull this any tighter. We don't want it any tighter. Actually, no. Alright, now now that I've got my magic circle single crochet 6 times, and I fastened off, I want to go ahead and do my lumpless finish, and then I will be able to attach this onto the sucker arm. Okay, I've already showed you with the purple yarn how to do the lumpless finish. It's kind of hard to see this black yarn, so I'm not going to try to show you that. Again, you'd just be bored anyway. I'll be right back. Alright, I've finished my mostly lumpless finish, and it's still a little lumpy, but that's okay. I'm going to be tugging and pulling on this anyway, and by the time I'm done manipulating it, it should be nice and round. Okay, so here is my initial tail. Here is the tail that I ended with and used to finish that that final lumpless finish. Sorry, I don't have a better name for it. So what I want to do is, this is the front as you're crocheting. This would be the front, and this is on the end, on the back. what I want to do is go ahead and add it to the arm with the front side down. Okay, just like that. Oops, but before I do that, let me take this to the inside. There we go. My needle is still on the lumpless finish end tail. Okay, so I've kind of just slipped that over, and now all I want to do is do kind of a whip stitch action where I go in like that through the top, and then you can just leave that for a moment while you cinch down the initial tail so that it's the perfect size. Now when we sew this, as we're sewing this on, this is actually like an umbrella pushed out by the wind. Okay, when we're done sewing this particular part using this particular tail, we'll flip it to the right way so you get that nice suction cup sort of shape. Okay, so I've gone up from the black and down through the arm. Now I just want to find a spot and go through it. Kind of a modified ladder stitch that we've done before on my channel. Pick up some more of that initial, or the gray arm yarn, and this is going to be fairly tight because of that glue. It's finally drying, and that's good because now we're fairly certain that this isn't going to pull out. We don't want these wraps to come undone. Grab some more of the black sucker. Okay. Pick up a little bit more of the wrap. And once again, please be careful with these needles if you're using one that's sharp. Okay. No damage to yourselves, please. I know, I'm one to say something. I have many scars where I've made my sacrifices to the craft gods. Okay, so I'm back at the beginning, and if you look, you can actually see the gray. Okay, where I've kind of pulled it too far. At this point, you can wrap up and over to try to hide them, but the honest answer is that when we pull this up and write it or make it so that it's the right shape, those are kind of going to go away anyway. They're going to be hidden. Okay, so what I want to do is just find a nice spot, push straight down along the pipe cleaner, okay, and under the wraps, just like that. There we go. Pull it down. I've kind of hidden most of my issues I had, and now I want to pull that nice and taut. Go ahead and snip as close as you can, like that. Then use your fingernail just to kind of hide the rest of that. So now I can take my needle and add it to the last thread tail, and I want to work on the other side, so I need to manipulate this slightly, flip it up into the proper position, which means now it looks like a suction cup. just like that. And I'm going to take my needle just down along the side. Whoop, not like that. And there it is coming out the side. I don't want to go under any of the wraps, not yet. Now you can see that even though I had some of that gray showing, you can't see it anymore. Okay, and just like that. And now, if you look, this is kind of sloppy because of the glue that was there. To cover that up and to make this look a little more finished, we're just going to wrap once with the black. Okay, and now I can take my needle just slight, here's where it's coming out. I'm going to go right here, okay, and go down the wraps just like that. I'm inside the wraps at this point. Okay. And now I just want to make sure I've manipulated this so that it's around and holding and hiding every yucky bit at the bottom of, or at the base of that sucker. Pull it down, give it a nice tug, just like that. And if you look, it's nice and neat now. Okay. Just like that. And now I can trim my tail and try to push the last little bit back up inside. That's a little manipulating, like that. Same with this one. And there is the sucker gun, or sucker arm all done. Okay. All we have left is to make the rest of the eye stalk. Alright. The next two pieces we need to make are where the lens sits here, this black, and then whatever you want to call this piece. And they're actually made in exactly the same way, leaving a bit of a tail, and the black will do the casing for the lens, the eye lens there. Leave a little bit of a tail and make a slip knot. Okay, there's lots of tutorials out there on how to make one. I'm not going to show you here. Okay, and now we're going to chain enough to wrap around. Okay, and it's usually about 5 or 6, but I don't want to just chain. I want to chain and yank that down as tight as it will go. Okay, that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, right here is where I want to stop and double check. So I need this to fit around the eye stalk, right from the knot to the end of, from the knot here to the end here. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap it around, and it's not long enough. Okay, so go ahead and do 1 or 2 more. I'll do 2, just probably too long. So I'm up to 7. And again, this is going to depend on how thick your yarn is. It's going to depend on whether or not you have little sparkles added. I mean, it's just going to depend. Or how thick, also how thickly you wrap this. Okay. So that actually, 7 is actually good for me. Okay, so now I'm going to cut off my my yarn here. I'm going to fasten off. Again, leaving a bit of a tail for sewing purposes. And just pull it through. So now, this is what you have. Okay, two tails and this bit of chain. Okay, that, when you're looking at it, that's usually the front or the top. Today, we're actually going to put that on the inside. We want to see this instead. Okay, so what you need to do is go ahead and tie this around the eye stalk, making sure that the outside, then what's normally the right side, is against the eye stalk. And don't worry about having it in the right place. We'll put that there in just a minute. Just tie yourself a nice, really tight square knot. Okay, like that. And now that's not going to come undone. But if you look, that knot does not, oops, the knot doesn't look like the rest of the chain. Well, we're gonna actually address that right now. Adding your needle to one or the other tails, it doesn't really matter which. Okay, you're going to take your needle. I'm coming up. My yarn is coming, do you see that? Up from the knot. I'm going to go on the opposite side of the knot through the, right here. You see that? Just like that. And come down right beside it. We're not actually attaching this just yet. We're just addressing the fact that it looks a little strange. And now you can do the same with the bottom one. Add your needle to the other tail. Like this. You're going to get rid of the cat hairs. Go up next to your square knot, just like this. Again, we're not going through any of the wraps on here. We're just fixing how this final knot appears. And now, if you look, it's pretty close. It's not going to be perfect. It's not ever going to look exactly like the chain around that are, you know, the rest of the chain, but it's good enough. It's close enough. So now I've got my needle on the one tail there. I'm going to go ahead and start attaching just like I did with the sucker cup. Okay. You know, just add a kind of weird modified ladder whip stitch. Okay. And if your yarn is kind of trying to unravel, that's okay. Just pull on the very end of it and hopefully it'll straighten itself up. I'm marking on the top or the very end of this section here. And the trick is to try to get this to sit at the very end, not cover up the blue, but cover up all of the gray. And that is a bit of a trick. Okay. And the only answer I've got is just to keep going around in circles until you get it there. Until you get all the gray covered. Okay. I'll be back when I have that done. Alright. I've got that as close as I'm going to get. So now what I want to do is just go ahead and one last pass straight down under the wraps and out somewhere along the eye stalk. Okay. Just wherever I want, wherever my needle ends up is fine. Pull it all the way down. You need to, again, manipulate the shape of the eye, or the lens casing. And now I just want to trim the tail like that. And this other tail, I'm just using it as a sort of a stabilizer. You can go, well, stabilizer is the wrong word to say. I'm using it just as a final wrap, like I did with the sucker arm. You can go around and around some more if you think that this isn't secure enough. That's all going to be just a personal preference. I think mine's okay, so I'm going to wrap this around the base. Okay, then take my needle and just go down the wraps like I did before. And again, these are getting a little tight there, so definitely have your pliers handy. Okay, or your husband's, or in this case my son's. I borrowed his pliers. And now I'm just going to gently pull on my end here. And make sure that this final wrap sits where I want it to sit, nice and neatly right beneath the eye stalk. Or not the eye stalk, the lens casing. Just like that. Take a look. Make sure it's nice and neat. Just like that. Then go through. Or go, take your scissors and carefully snip off the very end there. And now your Dalek has the eye casing. So now we just need to make the final white ring here to add to the eye stalk. And of course you can go through and trim up any little ends that you see that are poking out. That was some of the chenille stem that I've accidentally pushed out when I was pushing my needle through. Okay, so like we did with the casing, we're just going to start with your slip knot and then chain however many you need to get around the eye stalk, pulling extremely tightly. Some you can go back and look at pictures. Some of the Daleks have many rings, some only have one. I'm going to choose to do one. just because this thing is so tiny. Any more than one, it looks a little strange. I did try just gluing a circle of, just gluing a single string around, or single yarn like this, and that looked okay, but I didn't like the glue at the end, and I didn't like how the ends met. From the top, the sides, it didn't look too bad, but if you looked underneath, it looked awful, and I didn't like it. So that's why I came up with this way. So chain however many you need. The black casing was 7. This may not need to be 7. It may need to be more because it could be thicker here now that I've added extra strings, yarns passing through there. So this one is also going to be by eye. You gotta check it. So I'm going to start with 7. So 1, and I am yanking those down as hard as I can. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I apologize for any noise you might hear from the street. I have my doors and windows open. It is an absolutely beautiful day, and I wanted to air out my house. So now I'm just checking, and that looks good. That's 7. Go ahead and cut off the yarn, just like that. Pull that through and yank it down. There we go. And just like before, we don't want to see the top chains. We want to see the back of it. Okay, that's a nicer texture for these tiny details. Okay, so go ahead and tie it on, square knot again, and don't worry if it isn't sitting with the right side out when you're doing this. You can always manipulate it. So nothing is really permanent unless you glue it, and I'm not gluing much of anything. So there it is. Okay, put it where you want it, and just like we did before, we're gonna make that kind of, see how that knot doesn't see how that knot doesn't really look like the rest of it. We're gonna kind of camouflage it again. If you remember, we just did that same little trick. Okay, so add your needle to one of the threads. My yarn is coming up here, so I want to go down just through that initial, or through the white yarn, the loop, or the ring we just made, a circle, I don't know what you want to call it. Okay, then I will take this yarn tail and do the same on the other side, but first I want to just take, because it's already got the needle on it, I want to just go ahead and put this where it belongs. This one, it's just a couple centimeters. I have this one I made with too long. Its arms and legs are really too long. They look comical, but this one I left a little bit more space there. Again, this is just going to be your personal preference. I'm coming out the bottom of that ring, or towards the Dalek's head area. So I'm going to stick this about where I want it, find the spot right behind that, and just go straight down inside the wraps. Okay. Just like that. that'll hold it. That'll hold it where you want it. Okay. I'm not going to cut anything off just yet, just in case I need to move it. Okay. And I don't want my yarn to be too short. Should I need to move this? Should I have screwed it up? Okay. Add the needle to the other string or tail. You're coming out the bottom here. You need to swing around and try to finish that. Like that. And now, if you want, you can go and secure this all the way around. I don't think it's necessary. Instead, I'm just going to do one where I hook one of my wraps here. Okay, just like that. Go back down through the ring itself. Okay. Like that. So now it's in there. It's where it's going to be. Okay. And now I can just take this and this take my needle and go up the wraps here and just come out somewhere. I usually like to take it through the eye itself, right there, because I can bury that end that I'm about to cut quite easily in that spot. Pull those two tails tight. Do any final manipulating like that. And now you can just cut off everything that is not supposed to be there. There we go. And now your Dalek is essentially finished. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see him. There he is. I keep calling it a he. I don't actually know if they have genders or not. If you know, leave it in the comments, okay? Alright, now, if you're going to hang it on your tree, go ahead and give it a hanger of some sort. I just did a simple loop of yarn to make that one. Oh, now we're going to get all the lawnmowers. Everybody's coming home. There we go. And just tied a simple overhand knot. And now I can bury the knot inside the Dalek down in there, just like that. And there he is. Blue one and a purple one. The orange one, that's slightly comical because its arms and eye stalk are too big, and the white one. Alright, thank you so much for your patience. I know this video is extremely long. I promise tomorrow's video will not be nearly so long, a very short one, a much simpler project, not crochet, and I will see you in the next video. I've got a couple stills for you coming up next, and until tomorrow, I'll see you later. Bye!